Hi, I'm su-elise.
I'm Sabrina. And I'm Alicia.
Mystique stormed onto the music scene in 2001 with their unique brand of R&B and garage-influenced pop. The award-winning trio would stack up 7 UK top 10 hits and 2 top 10 albums in just over 2 years. Short-lived, but well-remembered, this is All Sides of Mis-Teeq.
And I was working with a young solo artist who was also, rather like myself, she was doing featured vocals on dance records. So I took her to a dance class at Dance Works just off Oxford Street one Sunday afternoon. Very miserable, dreary day. I saw Alicia in the dance class and I thought, what a beautiful girl. So I spoke to she was only 19, and I spoke to the dance teacher who I happen to know because he was a friend of MONETISE and he choreographed one of their videos and been in one of their videos. So I had a word with him. I said, can you introduce me to that young lady? And he said, yeah, sure, in a break. So in between, I was thinking, I really need a break. I need a 6-month break. Do I really want to start another girl group? Because it's a lot of work. I've just spent 2-3 years developing MONETISE. And most of the time, I did it on my own, investing, just every aspect of it. But I had a chat with her in the break. I said, would you like to be in a girl group? She said, yes. I already had my recording studio that I co-owned with David Brahm. And I thought, she's delightful. And then I watched her in the dance class and I just kept seeing these eyes. It was her eyes. I thought, she's lovely. I thought, no, I'm going to help, I'm going to work with her. So she used to start coming down because she didn't live in London. She lived out in the sticks a bit. So she used to come down every week and we developed her vocals. And then about a year or so later, I met a duo, one of whom was Sabrina. I loved Sabrina and they were both great, but I thought Sabrina had real star quality like Alicia. So I said, look, you're great, but if you ever split up, let me know, because I'd really like to work with Sabrina. Gave them my cards, and Sabrina lost my card, and she searched everywhere. Luckily, I'd met her at Dance Attic Studios in Fulham. So she called the manager there, I think, who gave them my contact details. And that was a few months later she contacted me, or quite a while later after her duo had split up. I didn't want to split up the duo. Just wanted to let her know if anything happens in the future, she can contact me. So then I had Sabrina and Alicia, and very similar age and great. We just had, Sabrina was also a brilliant rapper. As I say, she was in a kind of rapping duo when I met her, but she just had that beautiful voice. And I had a word. I thought, wouldn't it be great if Alicia did a little bit of MCing? So I said, Alicia, what do you think about, MCing? And next thing I know, she embraced it. And she just became one of the best MCs in the country. And that was a real asset and USP for the group, I think, her MCing. So, and then a little while after that, I did go through a few young artists until we found, the final combination of 4.
Alicia Dixon and Sabrina Washington met in 1997 at Dance Attic Studios in Fulham through Louise Porter, who was putting together a group for her production company Big Out Limited. The two worked with Louise for a couple of years before being joined by Tina Barrett to form a trio. They were named Face to Face, were unsigned, and all band members still worked day jobs. Tina would leave to join S Club 7 after a successful audition for Simon Fuller, and later was replaced by Zena McNally and su-elise Nash.
I started off in Mystique quite by accident. I kind of met the girls and they were already singing together and they wanted another member and they picked me. It was just very natural, very organic, and it worked out brilliantly.
It all began with, young ladies girls just wanted to be in a group, like myself and Alicia. Like we just kind of met.
Were you friends before?
No, we met through a lady, and we just kind of clicked straight away. And it just kind of came together, and then Sue joined, and then we were there, and then we was in the studio, and then we was rehearsing, and then we was writing. We was like, yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, we're going to be a great group. Like, yeah, what are we going to do? And then obviously we loved R&B at the time, because, you know, we was influenced a lot by, I'd say, America, and America was very, very R&B based.
Their then producer, David Brandt, introduced them to Inferno Records A&R man, Pat Travers, who went on to sign them to Telstar Records and change their name to Mystique. After months of recording, including sessions with producers Stargate, Ed Case, Blacksmith, Rishi Rich and Sunship, the group would complete their debut album.
Keep telling me it's all about us. These days.
The record would also include the track These Days, formerly recorded by girl group Precious for their debut album a year prior.
What was that like? Take me back to that time. What was it like for a black British female group in the UK as well? Because we'd imported Destiny's Child.
Yes.
But the UK was very Westlife and S Club 7.
Yes.
So what was your experience of that time?
Everybody told us don't do it. Everybody thought the odds were against us. Even close family and friends, they thought we were crazy. They didn't think black people would sell records in the UK, and they thought we should have a sensible job. And we all said, nah, we got this. It's all good. And I think in a weird way, that arrogance that came with being 21 and fearless is what helped us, because in a way we were like, we need to be different. We need to prove that we can sell records. We need to prove that 3 black girls don't need to necessarily have a white girl in the group in order to sell records. So it meant a lot. It was a big deal. We were still, when I think back to that time and I think about some of the other pop acts that were around at the time, we were the ones signed to the smallest label. Everybody else had major record labels, big marketing budgets, and we didn't have any of that. And the only reason Mystique is successful is because of the pirate radio stations and all the DJs that supported us and played our jam when no one knew who we were, what we looked like. We'd go out to a rave and Y would come on, and we'd know it was our jam that was coming on because it was a turquoise green vinyl, and you'd see the DJ bring it out. We'd be there dancing to our own jam in a club. No one recognised us. There was no video at the time, and it was all authentic. All the major radio stations turned us down. I mean, most of them, apart from Dream Team at Radio 1, who were the only ones that supported Y on mainstream radio, all the others said no, and they only jumped on board once it had charted. Once it was a top 10, then we got playlisted on the other radio stations. So without a doubt, pirate radio, DJs made Mystique the success that it was.
The first demo we recorded together as a group, which was Y, the R&B version, was overheard by Darren Stokes from Tintin Out. And he actually took it to Inferno Records, and they fell in love with the song. And we met them a couple of weeks later, and we were signed a couple of weeks after that. So it was a natural progression. We wasn't actually looking for a deal at the time. We were just developing ourselves as artists.
When you make an R&B record, you are throwing yourselves into a market that is pretty much saturated.
We are.
And now you've got 2 fronts. You've got the R&B and the garage vibe, and you go on two fronts. Now, did you plan that because you stuck with that formula and it's worked for you?
When we initially done Y, we always said that we wanted a garage mix because we used to go out and we used to rave to garage, and it was a thing where the garage mix just started to blow up on the underground, so it was inevitable for us to go with that, and we didn't mind that because garage was something we was into.
So when Y first came out, which was our first single, we done Y in that R&B version, which we loved, and it got some traction, but we loved garage too. So we was like, okay, cool, we need to get a mix. So we got a mix, and Matt Jam Lamont done the mix, and we had to take it to the record company. We took it to the record company and they were like, what's this? It's like, this is the mix. And they was like, okay. They didn't really understand it because they weren't really into garage on the record company that we was on. But they said, okay, we're gonna see what we can do. So we done the video and then it blowed. It blowed without us even trying to make it. It just blew, which was amazing. So from there, it continued.
Mystique released their debut single, Why, on the 8th of January 2001. It was written by Alan Glass, David Brandt, Ronald St. Louis and Marianne Morgan and produced by Brandt for Vibrant Music. Originally a mid-tempo R&B track, it was remixed into an up-tempo UK garage mix by Matt Jam Lamont and DJ Face. The remix soon became a success in the underground UK garage scene, and as a result, a second music video for the song was filmed and released. Why became a hit on the UK singles chart, peaking at number 8.
It's the remix. Mystique. Tell me why.
We've always been so close together, doing things that only best friends do. Always there for one another, through the bad times and the good. The other night you held me close, need to.
Zena would later decide to leave the lineup in January 2001, saying she felt unhappy about an unbalance in the group, leaving the remaining ladies to continue on as a trio.
Don't promote violence, but talk about life. You can talk about where you've come from and where you're going and what you've been through, you know, but just be careful in how you put things across. Urban music was there before we was born, and I'm sure it will be there once we've gone. What forms and shapes it takes, nobody can predict.
Won't you tell me why?
You know, with our first single, Why, we were working that for about 6 months on the underground, going from club to club, just PAing that one tune. When people hadn't even heard it, the only people that were really playing it were the DJs, you know, it wasn't on the radio.
So our music actually spoke for ourselves before people actually knew it was us, which is a great thing.
It's a nice thing to be able to say, you know, everyone heard the song before they saw what we looked like.
I'll never forget the first time our A&R came down to the studio and played us the garage version of All I Want. We went bananas. Like, obviously now it's a song we all know, but back then it sounded so interesting and different, and what Sunship did was so unique. We were so excited. I remember that feeling of, wow, this is different. This feels exciting. And to come with the second single that had as much of an impact as our first single, that was the key moment. Yeah. Because if that song hadn't worked, there would have been no platinum album, there would have been no rise of Mystique, because it's all well and good coming out of the trap strong with Why, but how are you gonna maintain that success? Yeah. So we owe a lot to Sunship for that remix.
The video for All I Want starts with me looking in the mirror. I think I'm fixing my hair or something, aren't I? Yeah. And I like touch the mirror and I get sucked in. And then we go to rescue her, so we get sucked in the video as well.
All I Want for us is just basically like a fairy tale song. We're just saying if there's anything out there that you want, go for it.
Mystique haven't had, you know, like a really bad childhood, so we just talk about things like the struggle to get to where we actually are, and just things that go on in our everyday life.
The 3 remaining members went on to release their second single, All I Want, on the 11th of June 2001. It was written by Alicia, Sabrina, David Brandt, Alan Glass and Marianne Morgan, and originally produced by David Brandt. It would be remixed by Kerry Evans, also known as Sunship. The song topped the success of the trio's debut single, becoming a number 2 hit in the UK, and simultaneously entering the top 30 of the Australian singles chart.
Floating on a river of dreams, on a magic carpet ride. destiny. I know it's just a matter of time that I will find out my just touch, and everything will turn to gold. It would mean nothing without you here to hold. Hey, and away we go. I'll say, gonna get up on the mic, gonna make you whine. All I want is to be with you, but I just want to live. I live my own life too. All I need to know, thinking over the whack, the world is mine. Set my feet and everything is fine. I can really understand that when I want to you are. I will lay my head down for you 1,000 times to show you that when you're ready at the top, I'm gonna give you all I got, and wherever we will go. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can't think that I'm a friend. I walk the ground at the journey, but then what a mistake. Every chorus with bang, pop them all, bring it in, ding, ding. In the mix with a flag, a trace, but a vibe, but a one-touch skip. Move to the beat, it's about music. Go for these tracks, about first next next. So let us will make it hit. Turn up the volume, bounce it. From R&B to Mac and remix, from the TV hits to the covers, smash hits. Why? Because our styles are speaking a while. All I wanted was to get buck wild, huh? Now who said we can't run like that? Rewind the tempo, bring in the track. All I want is to be with you, but I just got to live. I live my own life too. All I need.
The Logos was really good. It was an honour to be there performing amongst all them other artists, and to be nominated, we couldn't ask for anything more.
To be here actually performing and to be nominated is a fantastic thing for us.
It is wicked, it's electric.
It's basically about a girls' night out. You've been working hard all week, and you call up your friends and you go out in your nice clothes and your nice cars, and your music's playing. You might have a little flirt, you might get a bit cheeky, and you go home alone.
One Night Stand was issued as the third single by the group on the 15th of October 2001 and reached number 5 on the UK singles chart. Elsewhere, the song would enter the top 20 in Australia, New Zealand, Norway and Denmark. The song would be certified silver in the UK for sales of 200,000 copies.
Job done, wanna have fun, gonna call my girls, gonna get my hair done. So I dress tight with my heels high, and I think about the moves I'ma put tonight when I go up. Guys looking over like they want some. Make way, sexy for me and my lady. It's down to the DJ playing our jam. Hands down, grab a man, move to the floor. It's time to get down. Ding ding, first round. Hand on my hips as we start to down. Close range, full clip, temptation, sensations, vibrations. My one night stand. Act wild, but I got style, 'cause I ain't sipping if it ain't crystal. High class, nice ass. Spend your money, but I got my own cash. Good vibes, so right. Thank you for the dance tonight. Feel free, baby. Keep looking 'cause you're killing me. Hear the sound of the DJ playing our jam. Let's down, grab a man, move to the floor. It's time to get down. Ding ding, first round. Hand on my hips as we start to down. Close range, full clip, temptation, sensations, vibrations. My one night stand.
The group's debut album, Licking on Both Sides, would follow on the 29th of October 2001. Released by Telstar Records, it was primarily produced by Stargate, with additional production from Jensen and Larson and Synth, among others. The album became a top 5 success in the UK, reaching number 3. The album was re-released 3 times, with the final release, a special edition, being issued on the 22nd of June 2002. Licking on Both Sides would be certified double platinum in the UK.
My girlfriend's hanging out. To mislead you wasn't my intention. Nothing more to say. Hear the sound of the DJ playing our jam. Glass down, grab a man, move to the floor. It's time to get down. Ding ding, first round. Here we go again. Did I go and done so what? I wanna get my going. Did I go and done so what? Here we go again. Hear the sound of the DJ, ready to play our jam. Move your body closer, it's time to get down. Hand on my hips as
timing is absolutely right for UK Garage. Absolutely right. I mean, I've seen you've worked with me a lot on tours and stuff, and you know, you can walk on a garage stage, rock it, you can walk on an R&B stage, rock it. You must feel really good. And that must be the reason why your album's called Licking on Both Sides.
That is definitely the reason. At least someone gets it.
And then we went on to do the Brits, which I think was maybe one of our most
spectacular
performances where we had to come down. How many stairs were there?
I can't remember. They just seem to go on forever and ever and ever, and I think that actually the Brit Awards is a huge event and it goes out to many countries across the world, and the only thing we were worried about is falling down the stairs.
If you look very carefully, you can see us kind of looking down our masks to look at the floor, because if we would have taken a fall, it would have been all over. But luckily, once we got down the stairs, we were fine, and the performance just sailed through. And I think that's one of my best moments of the year.
Your favourite performance?
Please give it up for an act I'm looking forward to very, very much indeed. They are the multi-talented Mystique!
People picked up on our vibe, because at that time we weren't something that was put together, and the music that we were producing wasn't anything that someone gave to us. It was what came from us.
Right, here we are at God knows what time it is in the morning, looking awful. And when you see this video again, it will be really, really nice.
It's the Mystique ladies, we're coming back strong.
The concept for the video is basically sexy, sassy, and if I had an S for it, I'd say temptation. It's all about wanting a guy or wanting a girl, but you can't have them. And the scenery is like tropical, but in a studio, and we're gonna have like a ragga jam, and there's gonna be a breakdown section where we're all just gonna dance with like guys and girls, and it's gonna be fun.
This is the set, mother. And see this? This is going to be filled with water. Oh my god. I presume that's the shack. Is that the shack?
Yeah, that's the shack.
That's what I'm doing my stuff outside.
This is Alicia in Jamaica trying to find her way out.
The tropics we have.
Mystique with a bump and flex.
Extras in the video. Say yo. Ricky, say yo.
Oh what? Yeah.
Joey, say hi.
What's
This is our trumpet player, and this is our DJ.
All the shack stuff, all the party stuff. There's, you know, the bit with the track.
Party stuff in the shack is going to happen before we do the dancing on the actual.
Yes, that's quite right.
How do we do it, Tyler?
You could use that one, but then
yes. Oh, sexy mama in the bikini with the pink rose. She wave like, you know you look
Say
good.
something about Sabrina now.
Sabrina gets to luxuriously lie on a hammock. Isn't she lucky? Shit, look at this girl. Only Sabrina could get to lie on the hammock, you know. Sure he wasn't snidely right in the treatment with Jake? How you managed to get to lie down? Like, messy.
Basically, when it comes to, you know, obviously making the videos, we give all our ideas across, we put our ideas to the hairdressers, the stylists, we get involved completely. We'll sit down with the director and we'll go through what things we like to do. We like a lot of choreography, obviously, because, you know, that's just part of the Mystique flavour. We like a lot of dancing, and obviously we want to look sexy. You know, we just want to, like, we're having a good time is the most important thing.
I said would be easy. Come again.
I've always been a big believer in you can still look sexy even if you're covered. But when I saw the clothes, I nearly had a shock of my life because we was told, I think the director wanted us to wear knickers, but we extended it to shorts. So we've got shorts on and little tops because it's supposed to be like summer, like you're walking along the beach. And then when we get into the shack, which is nighttime, we're going to be wearing probably an all-in-one suit, which is more like a denim catsuit or something like that. It's a bit more fierce. And yeah, obviously, you know, we work with the stylist closely when it comes to picking the outfits.
Let's roll, let's ride.
How the day's going so far, Sabrina?
I think the day's going really, really well. I'm enjoying it. We're going on to Alicia's scene now, where she's going to show them what she can do and how.
Shut up, your body, alright.
Time, showtime, hook line, let's roll, let's ride.
And then, you know, when they come to the disco and the rag come on, she's like, move on, move. Queen Alicia is coming through.
Mind your eye, mind your eye. Yeah, go on, shake.
She's definitely su-elise's sister, except you can dance the garage. Hey, yo! Sue, you ready? You ready yet? So can I go back downstairs then? Because they keep telling me you're ready and I know you're not.
Time, showtime, hook line, let's roll, let's ride. Scribble on the paper, but I keep this tight. Here we go again upon the ravers rhyme. Let me have it you, let me dish you, let me hit you, let me start again, let me flip you.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Get some raisins, mix it with some carrots. Merry Christmas, everyone. Put a bye, put a bye, put a bye, bye, put a bye, bye, put a bye, time. Put a bye. Wait. Boo. Fire, I'm on the air. The worst thing about shooting a video for me is just waiting about. But that's why I bring my own little camcorder and I make my own documentary because it gives me something to do because I can't sit still. The best thing about it is just the fact that my job is to come to work, be made up, dance, sing with people I love being around and just be generally creative, and I feel very blessed and I wouldn't want to do anything else in the world.
On the 18th of February 2002, Be With Me would be lifted as the next single off the album, written by Alicia, su-elise and Sabrina along with Mystique. Rather than the album version, Grant Nelson's Bump and Flex garage remix of the song was chosen as the fourth single. It reached number 5 on the UK singles chart and also peaked at number 19 in Australia.
Mystique with a bump and flex. I saw you this morning as I left my house on the way to work. You were wearing the same old attire, the pinstripe suit and shirt. If only you knew the things we could do. Don't think I can see you lusting for me. I know you damn well be what I know is for you to be with me. Loving you every day will be easy. What I know is that we will never be. But that doesn't stop me from running the dream of reality.
Come again, come again.
What I know is for you to be with me. Loving you every day will be easy. What I know is that we will never be. But that doesn't stop me from running the dream of reality.
Check it out.
Oh, yeah.
Here we go up on the Mystique flow.
Well, I wanna get it over there. The sense of love, so we got shit. Can take a ride to the up on the side. Body moves to the thought of your thing. What I want is the special time. Wanna know how you feel inside. What I want another man did. Your girl said something that's to mine. That's for you, to be with me. Loving you every day.
I'm set with B-A-Z.
What I know is that we will never be. The bad is the time for running the dream of reality.
Here we come with a different flex.
What I want is for you to be with me. Loving you every day will be easy. What I know is that we will never be. But that is the time for running the dream of reality. So let me show you my weakness. Only till you can't get this. Burning inside is in my soul. Now that you feel, you just need control. Baby, see my frustration. Unbearable situation. You're with her and I'm with him, so we can let our love begin.
My time, showtime, hook line, let's roll, let's ride.
guys had an incredible run. Like, Why, Scandalous, One Night Stand. What's your best bars? What do you think? What was your best contribution to a tune?
My best contribution? Oh my gosh. I think Be With Me always stood out because that was a moment in itself. But I think, you know what? Probably songs that were on the album that weren't even on singles. And actually for me, it's very, when I look back at some of those bars, I find them very cringy. Like I was like, what were you doing?
But not when you hear M to the I to the S-T-E-E-Q.
M with the I, yeah. That one was all right. That one was all right. But some of them, especially on Y, I think I did that when I was like 19 and didn't know what I was doing. I'd been to a house party my uncle was throwing, and my uncle was in the kitchen rapping about chicken, rice and gravy. I was like, teach me that rap. And he taught me this rap in his kitchen at this party. And I went to a club, I think the following week. And as a dare, my friend said, go on the mic and do that rap that your uncle taught you. I was like, yeah, come on then. Because I'm always looking for the reaction, for doing something stupid. I take the microphone. I did it as a joke, just because I was dared to do it. And then the crowd really responded. And I was like, oh, I didn't expect that. And I think it was because I was a female there in my little dress, you know, on the mic. And it took people by surprise. And then I got addicted to that reaction. And from that moment, I started doing it more. And it was actually Sabrina. She was the one that actually said, you need to do that on one of our songs. Because at that point, I hadn't been doing it on our songs. It was just something I was doing in a club on a Friday night because I thought it was funny. And then I started to enjoy it. And I remember going to clubs. I don't know if MC Viper remembers this, but they'd be like, you know, like the guys, they all huddle round and they're passing the mic. They wouldn't even let me in the circle, man. I was just trying to squeeze up in there. Let me have a go on the mic. And I was always that girl that wasn't afraid to go up and just get in the circle and be like, pass me the mic, let me have a go. And that is literally how it started. And yeah, and thanks to Sabrina, because I was like, nah, we can't put that on the song. We can't.
But you was a garage MC, bro.
I know, but to me, it was like I was a raver as well. And it was something I did in a club. I didn't even think about putting that on a jam. It just didn't even cross my mind. And so it was her encouragement to do it that made me do it. And then once it became a bit of a trademark for the group and I started to enjoy it, then of course I started taking myself more seriously. But up until that point, it was just something I did on a night out, literally.
All the rest of our videos were all done in the studio, but this one we got to go to LA to do, which we were really excited about. And I think that's probably one of my favourite videos that we filmed, just because we were in the sun and we get to go shopping on our days off, which was brilliant. And that was great.
Where was it filmed? It was filmed where they
on Venice Beach.
Where they actually shoot Baywatch, and it was kind of surreal because I hadn't actually been to America before. it was your first time in LA.
My first time in LA, but I've been to America. Yeah.
But myself and Alicia hadn't been to LA before, so it was really, really nice.
And where we positioned, we filmed it on the basketball courts, which were right next to the Muscle Beach. And the LA Fire Department were shooting for their yearly calendar. So we got 2 treats there.
This is actually the last single off of our album, so we thought that we might as well do double whammy. And Roland was actually on Licking on Both Sides. And This Is How We Do It was originally on the Ali G soundtrack.
Yeah, people them a ball, people them know that me love what me do. So roll on like you. Rolling around cause I'm really sharp back, you're gripped by the Union Jack.
We just thought we liked This Is How We Do It since we was teenagers. You know, it was a dance floor filler. So we said if we was going to do any cover, we'd like to do that one. So we done it, and then we just, you know, remixed it a little bit as we do, the Mystique way.
This is how we do it in a UK vibe. This is how we do it. It's the Mystique, cause upon the rich vibe. This is how we do it.
We got to a basketball court and the concept was to just take over the court and show them how we do it. That's when it flips to the Montel Jordan thing.
Yeah, if you're an OG Mac or a wannabe player. So turn your fingers up and roll.
The final release from Licking on Both Sides would be a double A side of Roll On and the Montel Jordan cover This Is How We Do It, the latter song being featured on the soundtrack for Ali G's 2002 film Ali G in the House. The track was released on the 17th of June 2002 and would enter the UK charts at number 7. Instead of filming 2 separate music videos for the double A-side, one music video was filmed combining both songs. The music video was filmed in various parts of Los Angeles, California.
Take your time and move your body all night long. We're gonna roll on, roll on, roll on, roll on. You never knew that we had such flows. Mystique making money, so we're making that dough. If you never know, better get to know. So we in our this team just to run the show. If you got issues, stay your ass at home, don't bring bad news. Calling out to the brother they crew. Rolling the party.
People them a cheer, people them a boo. People them know that me love what me do. So roll on like true. Rolling around cause I'm pretty sharp back. You're gripped by the Union Jack. Red, white, blue, or black. An international anthem, can you handle this song? Worldwide, roll on.
You never knew that we had such flows. Mystique making money, so we're making that dough. If you never know, better get to know. So we in our this team just to run the show.
This is how we do it in a UK vibe.
This is how we do it.
It's the Mystique, cause upon the mission rich vibe.
This is how we do it.
This is how we do it. All hands are in the air and waving from here to there. If you're an OG Mac or a wannabe player, you see the hood's been good to me
Ever since I was a lowercase G, but now I'm a big G. The guys see I got the money, dollar bill, y'all.
If you were from where I'm from, then you would know that I gotta get mine in a big fat truck, and you can get yours in a 6-4. Whatever it is, the party's underway. So tip up your cup and throw your hands up, and let me hear the party say, oh, I'm buzzing because
This is how we do it.
the UK does it like nobody does.
This is how we do it.
MONETISE.
This is how we do it.
Let's flip the track with the old school band.
Check it out. Once upon a time in '94, Mystique made no money and life show was slow. I know they said the fight ain't we stood, and people thought the music that we made was good. Then if the DJ Sweat was his name, came up to me and this is what he said: you and them girls are gonna make some cash. Sell a million records and we'll make it in a dash. Oh, I'm bouncing because
This is how we do it.
Also, in 2002, the band would support Shaggy on his UK tour.
MONETISE.
This is how we do it.
Let's flip the track with the old school band.
This is how we
Are you
do it.
ready?
This is how we do it.
This is how we do it in a US style.
This is how we do it.
Check it out.
This is how we do it.
And have you been thinking about the future?
We've got a lot of influences with reggae, hip hop, R&B, garage, and we're just watching what's going on around us and trying to adapt to what is going on and not coming out with the same thing over and over again because you'll get bored.
After a short hiatus, Mystique would start work on their next record, working once again with producers Stargate, Ed Case and Blacksmith, plus Salam Remy, singer Joe, Delroy D. Roy Andrews and Jermaine Dupri.
We've been working really hard, we've been doing much more writing, just being more creative, experimenting with different sounds, but it'll still be very Mystique for you.
We've been working with MONETISE, who we worked with on the first album, who actually done Be With Me. We're working with Stargate again, and we've had really great writing sessions. We've also been over to the States to give it that little bit of, different flavour. We've been working with some unknown artists, which we're not actually telling you of yet, because you might be a little bit surprised when you actually listen to the next Mystique album.
So scandalous.
Released on the 17th of March 2003, Scandalous became the lead single from the group's upcoming record. The song was written by band members su-elise, Alicia and Sabrina, along with frequent collaborators Halgeir Rustan, Tor Erik Hermansen and Mikkel Eriksson, with production handled by the latter two under their production moniker Stargate. The song became a hit throughout Europe, reaching the top 10 in Australia, Denmark, Ireland, New Zealand and at number 2 in the UK. Scandalous became the group's biggest selling single in the UK.
That's why you know you should be scared of us.
That's why looks to kill. Straight talk, sex appeal. One touch gives me chills, and we ain't even
as I creep. You got me going crazy and you know I can't sleep. Love watching your moves and you hypnotize me. You got me trembling like a little baby girl. You're so special, you're like diamonds and pearls. You got me spinning and you got me in a twirl. You're my number one baby and you're time to rock my world. You're dangerous, just get it up. The way you move, so scandalous. It's all about the two of us. A one night stand just ain't enough. I need some stimulation, baby. A little conversation, maybe. You got me spinning round like crazy. There goes my baby. Scandalous, so scandalous. Scandalous, so scandalous.
Bring that beat back, bring that beat back. Check 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3.
A mashup of Scandalous with the Redman and Adam F song Smash Something was performed live at the 2003 MOBO Awards, where the original song was nominated for 2 awards, including Best Video.
Dog Brixton know I'm getting high. When I go overdose in a coffee shop, start spitting at chickens like Superfly. When I walk in, nigga, you pop my collar.
Eye Candy was released as the second and final studio album by Mystique via Telstar Records on the 29th of March 2003. Eye Candy took the band's sound further into the contemporary R&B genre, combining pop and soul music with hip-hop, garage and reggae elements. Upon release, the album received generally positive reviews. It debuted and peaked at number 6 on the UK Albums Chart, eventually reaching gold status in the UK, where its sales exceeded 100,000 copies.
Scandalous.
Gave you my love and I can't get it back. Gave you all my time and I can't get it back. Now the ring that you gave me, you can't have it back. Cause it's just not going down like that. Gave you my time and I can't get it back. Gave you all my love and I can't get it back. Now the things that you gave me, you want them back. But it's just not going down like that.
On the 30th of June 2003, the album's second single, Can't Get It Back, became the band's 7th and final domestic top 10 single. Mystique and Telstar agreed not to use the album version, instead releasing the alternative Ignorance radio edit as the official single version, which would enter the UK charts at number 8 and at number 14 in Ireland. The song was also included on a special edition of Eye Candy, which was released in December. The track included a modified introduction and a rewritten bridge written and performed by Alicia.
First one, when we begun, you know you had a sister all sprung with your tongue. I thought you were my baby. Now, when we're late, you always knew the right words to say. We got engaged to be married the very next May. As the time moved on, the love we had that tone. Used to love me from dusk till dawn, but now you're tripping from night till morn. Now you wanna change. I'm sick of you playing these games. I'm telling you one thing, you ain't getting back, you ain't getting back this game. Give you my love and I can't get it back. Give you all my time and I can't get it back. Now the ring that you gave me, you can't have it back. Cause it's just not going down like that. Give you my time and I can't get it back. Give you all my love and I can't get it back. Now the things that you gave me, you want them back. But it's just not going down like that. Verse 2, now we're through. Up on my life in a whirl flew. And that's cool, put the glass you and another young fool. Cause I had slept while you crept. Couldn't take the heat, so away you stepped. Now I'm sad, and don't come back for nothing that you left. I gave you my all, but if it's too small, I can't call. Cause every player's got to ball. As seasons change, you couldn't hang. But if you think you're coming back from this spring,
Released on the 17th of November 2003, Style was chosen as the third and final single from Eye Candy. It was written by Stargate along with Helga Rustan and band member Alicia for the re-release edition of Eye Candy. The song contains elements of West End Girls by English synth-pop duo Pet Shop Boys. Due to the inclusion of the sample, Neil Tennant and Chris Lowe are also credited as songwriters. Upon its release, Style debuted and peaked at number 13 on the UK singles chart, becoming the group's only single not to enter the top 10. Style also reached number 18 in Finland, becoming the group's second and most successful single on the Finnish chart.
They don't need to worry. I know exactly what I want. I like a man with a hip-hop style. I like a man with a drop-top ride. I like a man who's independent. Say it again. I like a man with a hip-hop style. I like a man who could drive me wild. I like a man who could take control. That's all. Yo, I need a broke boy with some inch. I need a rough neck making ends. I need a hot player hustling. Now that's what I want. I need a t-shirt with some jeans. That's just how it is. I need a good lover to do me right. Somebody that can turn me on. My girls say I'm crazy and that I should go with you. Think you're so amazing. That's the only thing to do. Yeah. Say I'll be sorry. You'll regret it if you don't. You don't have to worry. I know exactly what you want. I like a man with a hip-hop style. I like a man with a drop-top ride. I like a man who's independent. Say it again. I like a man with a hip-hop style. I like a man who could drive me wild. I like a man who could take control. That's all. I know just what I like, and I know when it's right. I don't need nobody else to tell me no. I just wanna be free, to be who I wanna be. Can you blame me? Are you ready for this one? Top of the pops. We like a man that is independent. Won't be asking for your pocket money or to pay rent. Stand up on your own and don't be giving me no stress. You're showing me positions just to keep my interest. I like the way your lips and your hair look crisp, but I'm planning everything I'm doing in my biz. Eternally intelligent, that's how a woman is. So pull the right string if you wanna get with this. I like a man with a hip-hop style. I like a man with a drop-top ride. I like a man who's independent. Say it again. I like a man with a hip-hop style. I like a man who could drive me wild. I like a man who could take control. That's all.
Scandalous was released in the US in May 2004 under Reprise Records and reached number 35 on the Billboard Hot 100 in June, making it their only single to chart in the US. The song also featured as the theme of the film Catwoman, starring Halle Berry that summer.
Now how many ways can you hit the spot? So show me what you got, 'cause we ain't even close. You got to
One Night Stand was released as the follow-up single with a new music video but failed to chart on the Hot 100. Also in 2004, Mystique would begin to tour the US. Following the release of a self-titled compilation album on the 13th of July 2004, the band's record label Telstar Records would go bankrupt in 2005.
Call my girls, gonna get my hair done, so I dress up with my heels high, and I think about the moves I'ma pull tonight when I guys looking over like they want some, like they sexy for me and my lady. Hear the sound of the DJ playing our jam. Glass down, grab a man, move to the floor. It's time to get down. First round.
Plans for a third studio album under a new major label were coming to fruition. However, Alicia would decide that it was time for her to go solo, and the group would later split.
You guys even had greatest hits album.
Yes.
Which, that's huge. I kind of admire the audacity of having that after, like, what was it, 3 albums?
But do you know
hits?
what it was, right? I don't know how many people know this, but we started working on a 3rd album. We were in America. Scandalous was a top 10 radio hit in America. But whilst we were out there having success with Scandalous, our record company in the UK went bust. They went into liquidation. A lot of people blamed Victoria Beckham at the time because they were an independent label. They were signing all these acts.
Why do they blame Victoria?
There was this whole thing in the media because they'd signed Victoria Beckham. They were a tiny label and they'd spent a fortune signing
they spent all the
her.
money on you're out of your mind.
They spent a lot of money on that project. But they obviously had, they had Craig David, they had some successful acts, but they were still the underdog. And so anyway, cut a long story short, they went bust. We were in America. We'd started working on a 3rd album, but that was the point when I came back from America that I decided I wanted to leave the group. So that's why we didn't do a 3rd album. We ended up putting out a greatest hits.
So were you the catalyst that broke up the group?
Are you trying to get hate on me now?
No, I'm just... It sounds as though you walked away from Mystique.
Yeah, so the true story is that when I came back from America, I wasn't happy. I spent several weeks debating it with my close people. It wasn't a decision that I made lightly, but I came to what the moment was actually, we got offered another deal. We got offered a major deal. And I knew if I signed that deal, I'd be tied into the group for several more years. And I thought, here's a clean out. Here's a way out without me having to fight. I can just walk away. I got to the point where I wasn't happy. And it wasn't that I wanted to be a solo artist. It wasn't that I was in the group thinking, it's my time now and my time.
My time, showtime,
I'm a walking
your time,
hook line.
inside.
Yeah. But I genuinely needed time out. It was a really intense 8 years of my life and it changed my life. And had I been happy, because to me, well-being is more important, I would have stayed.
Why weren't you happy?
Because by the time we got to the end of the group, there were conflicts within the group. And, we've been on an emotional roller coaster as a group, as you can imagine. It's like being in a relationship with, it's just an intense relationship. And we've had moments where we've not connected and we've not got on. We've been very respectful of one another in the sense that after all these years, we've maintained dignity, and anything that's ever happened with Mystique, we've kept it very private and between the 3 of us, and we still communicate to this day. I was actually with su-elise only 2 months ago when I went to Australia, and I hung out with her and her baby, and it's all love. But we've had our issues, and towards the end, I wasn't happy, and life's too short. Life's too short. You get one life.
I think at that time, it was just the time to do it. It was that time.
And what was it like for you kind of going to bed one night, being in the band and waking up and, not being in the band, not having a job? Was it relaxing, refreshing at that point? Or did you kind of, wake up thinking, fuck, what do I do next?
I'd say it was a bit of both. Because as I said, I was dealing with racism within the music industry, which I'd never thought was actually there, because that wasn't from where I was seeing, I was like, okay, this is completely new, utterly new to me, because I'd grown up in London and I'd never been around that. So I didn't know what to do. It was quite frustrating at times. But I was like, this is really, really weird. So when that day did happen, I was actually like, okay, maybe I can just take some time for me now. Because when you're in a group, it's constant compromise. And when it's constantly compromised for long periods of time, you forget you and what you want to do or how you feel about it, because it's always constantly compromising.
Since Mystique split, which is about, 5 years ago now, everything's been absolutely amazing. I've opened my own performing arts schools. I've got 6 schools in and around South London and Kent. I've been working on all different projects. I've been doing a lot more TV presenting and radio, which, really interests me because I can talk a lot.
Following her early departure from the group, Zena McNally would eventually go on to release solo music with an album, All of Me, released in 2005 in Japan only. After the announcement of their split in 2005, Mystique released a greatest hits album containing a new track, a cover of the Andrews Sisters 1940s song Shoo Shoo Baby, which was released as the official song of the 2005 Disney film Valiant. They were also nominated at the 2005 Soul Train Lady of Soul Awards for Best R&B Soul Album for their self-titled compilation record.
The girls and I were talking about doing possibly another album and a reunion tour.
I think it'd be amazing. Oh, come on, do it.
Well, we were talking about that before, but then obviously, you know, Alicia got pregnant and now she's had beautiful Azora Sienna, who's just, oh my goodness. We're going to see Alicia, I think, next week, and, you know, we'll have a little chat.
It's our vote.
It's a one-night stand.
Here we go again. Sabrina, stop.
Despite rumours of a reunion over the years, the trio have yet to reform or record any new music. After various solo endeavours, fans are still eager to hear what a potential Mystique comeback could look and sound like. It definitely feels like there's a gap in the market should they ever wish to return. Thanks for watching.
Call my girls, gonna get my hair done, so I dress tight with my heels high, and I think about the moves I'ma pull tonight when I roll up out front. The guys looking over like they want some. Make way, say for me and my lady. Hear the sound of the DJ playing our jam. Hands down, grab a man, move to the floor. It's time to get down. Ding ding, first round. Hand on my hips as we start to dance. Temptations, sensations, vibrations. My one night stand. But I got style, cause I ain't sipping if it ain't crystal. High class, nice. Spend your money, but I got my